Shocking 16 children rescued from alleged Ohio house of horrors as chilling court docs emerge. Parents and grandparents remain jailed on $300,000 bond as prosecutors say additional charges are expected in the twisted child abuse investigation. This is by Lauren Conlin. This was 2 days ago, and this is the mugshots that are pictured here. I'm going to close that player so you have the father, the grandmother, the grandfather, and the mother pictured here. So this story is really sad. This is probably one of the worst child abuse cases to emerge in many years. So it's a shocking new court filings that paints a dark picture of the Ohio home, which is now being called the House of Horrors. Authorities rescued 16 children this week, alleging every single child suffered serious physical harm with prolonged and horrific abuse. So 4 members of the Siders family, including parents and grandparents, Gary Siders Jr., Christina Siders, Gary Siders Sr., and Elizabeth Siders, are now facing a combined 68 felony child endangerment charges after authorities raided their Hamden, Ohio residence Tuesday morning. So according to the Benton County Sheriff Ryan Kane, investigators executed a search warrant around 10 a.m. at a home on Omar Road following allegations of domestic abuse and child neglect. Inside, they discovered what was to be 16 children living in conditions that Ohio Attorney Dave Yost's office later described as unimaginable. So the children, disturbingly ranging from ages 18 years old to just as young as 17 months old, were immediately removed from the residence and placed into temporary custody of the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. When the local reporter asked during a press conference why the 18-year-old was included in child endangerment cases such as this, authorities said that the young woman did not appear to have the mental capacity of an 18-year-old. They noted that she was unable to spell her own name. Authorities say that the 16 children were transported to Columbus area hospitals for evaluation. While several have since been released, others remain hospitalized in serious condition after being transferred to receive increased medical care. This case continues to reveal the unimaginable conditions these children were forced to endure. Benton County Sheriff Ryan Kane said the conditions these children lived in were horrific, and they were sickened by it. During a press conference, he also added the residents appeared to reflect as if it were third world country conditions, and the children were kept in a 12 by 12 area room for most of their 4 years of their life, in the last 4 years. So I said yesterday, Attorney General Andy Wilson was even more blunt about it. He said that investigators encountered what was pure evil. The evidence we've uncovered since only reinforces that assessment, Wilson said. And so investigators stated the children were covered in urine, feces, with some close to death. Neighbors told ABC6 that after living next door for about 5 years, they saw no trace of any kids. Amended complaints provide the first detailed look at allegations against the defendants. The complaints accuse each defendant of 16 separate second-degree felony counts of endangering children, 1 count for each child allegedly abused. Each count alleges that the abuse resulted in serious physical harm to the children involved. However, it does not get into the chilling specifics of this abuse. So it was later noted that the authorities are trying to determine if any sexual abuse had occurred. The complaint against Christina Siders, for example, alleges she abused 16 children born between the year of May 2008 to January 20 25, with prosecutors alleging every child suffered serious physical harm. The offenses are alleged to have occurred on or about June 30th, 2026, which was very recent. So at the family's residence, 182 or 182 Omer Road in Hamden, Ohio. The complaint indicates there are multiple sets of siblings as well, appearing to include twins born in 2022, 2024, and 2025. Again, the charging documents do not describe the specific acts of abuse or detail each child's injuries. Those allegations are expected to emerge through unsealed police reports, additional court filings, or upcoming hearings as the case progresses on. But there are more investigators that say that the case extends far beyond Benton County. So authorities believe these members of the Siders family lived in multiple Ohio counties dating back as far as at least 2008, while avoiding creating medical and governmental records that might have revealed the years of alleged abuse and neglect. So they also stated that there was no evidence that any of the children were birthed inside these homes. Based on the evidence uncovered so far, investigators believe the case involves prolonged and extreme interfamilial neglect and abuse. Officials also emphasize there is no evidence of any continuing threat to the public. So Gary Siders Jr., Christina Siders, Gary Siders Sr., Elizabeth Siders were arraigned Wednesday morning in Benton County Common Pleas Court. Each defendant entered not guilty pleas and remains jailed after a judge set $300,000 surety and cash bond for each of these people. Of each of them. According to the arraignment entries on the docket, the defendants were ordered to obey all laws, appear for all court hearings, submit to fingerprinting and DNA collection if released, and have no contact with co-defendants or alleged victims if they post bond. So right down here you're going to see in the Court of Common Pleas of Benton County, Ohio, General and Domestic Relations Division. This right here is the case, court papers and the bond that was set, and for them to have no contact to co-defendants and alleged victims. So prosecutors say the investigation remains in its early stages though. So more is coming out. I've been seeing it on YouTube and on news feeds, ABC, NBC News, and various news sites. So the Benton County Prosecutor Office has already indicated additional criminal charges are expected as investigators continue reviewing evidence collected from the home. So the investigation is being conducted by the Benton County Sheriff Office and the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation with assistance from the Hamden Fire Department, the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, and Jackson County Job and Family Services. Anyone with information is asked to contact investigators at 855-BCI Ohio. As of Friday, no new court filings had been scheduled for any of the four defendants according to the Benton County Court docket. And so that's pretty much the article. This was so sad, so intriguing as well to discover just how scary the situation was, because I remember seeing an interview of the guy. He said he can't get the smell out of my head. I can't get the smell out of my head. And then the neighbors said that they hadn't really seen any kids playing outside or any evidence of children living in the house. And so it was stated that the kids were probably there more than 4 or 5 years. years living in that 12 by 12 room that they kept them in squalid conditions, urine covered, feces covered, the house is covered in feces. They said it was unkept. It looked like a third world situation. And the man, he looked like he seen 13 ghosts. That's how bad it looked. He had this look on his face, and he said, I can't get the smell out of my head. And people who would see these adults come into the store, I believe there was a Dollar General that was in the area. A woman who was a local who worked in the Dollar General said that if they come in the store, that smell, you couldn't forget that smell. Even when they left the store, that smell stayed there. So they had a stench that just wouldn't go away. And they said they'd had maybe one kid with them, and that kid looked really, really unkept and thin. So, but they never seen any kids playing outside. They never seen if any kids even lived there. It was as if no kids existed there. They didn't even know it was that many kids there. So that's how bad this situation was. And so I saw this over the weekend. I was like, man, that man looked like he wanted to break down and cry, that investigator. And it was more than him. There were several of them, and they had looks on their faces like they seen 13 ghosts. I kid you not. This story is called The House of Horrors, for real. So whatever those men saw in there, man, this probably might even, I hate to, not trying to glorify something horrific, but this is like a scary movie. It is, truly. Very horrible situation to be in, and to not know how to read. Some of the kids were in such bad condition they couldn't even walk. And I'm hearing that the kids were in the hospital. They had to put them there because they were near death. They were probably starving, those kids, almost to where they unrecognizable, because some of the people said when they seen any of the kids, if they seen them, they'd have a kid, that kid looked so frail and unkept and undernourished. It was just sad. So this is probably one of the worst situations in recent of child abuse and neglect ever to surface. And being it so, they went to the house to serve the guy a warrant for something totally different. They stumbled upon these kids. That is sad. That was what rescued the kids. This story is so sad. But you might see this week, and more is coming out about how these kids were treated. But these are the people who are the alleged perpetrators of this situation. It's such a sad thing to know that you never know who your neighbors are. You don't know who you're living next to. And all them years, those people lived around these people and didn't know that they were like this.